I am here with John Molina, author of the book Barnstorming America. John, this book was so fascinating to me, telling the story of the origins of women's basketball. Take me through the origins of how you came to write the book.
Sure, thank you, Howard, very much. Growing up in Connecticut, my grandmother played for a soap factory team during the Depression. I never asked her about her stories, but as I got older, we started to follow UConn with Rebecca Lobo and Gino and all the Huskies, and I began to wonder, how did we get from my grandmother's days all the way up to present day? And there really was nothing online. So as I started researching, I started coming across some of these women who played for the All-American Redheads and Texas Cowgirls and so on. And as they started telling me stories, I mean, these were stories that, never heard. I mean, of teams being evacuated out of the Philippines before, World War II attacked, or, they played the day Pearl Harbor was attacked, JFK was attacked or assassinated, and so on. And it just became a real passion to help tell these stories so others could become educated and their history wouldn't pass away.
I mean, what's remarkable about it is that women's basketball is really embedded in the history of the United States, but yet these stories are so often, they weren't told, they were forgotten, and so to be able to trace it back, not only the stories of the women who were playing, but the resistance to women playing basketball dates back to almost the moment that James A. Naismith invented the game.
Yep, I used to have the 1901 Women's Rule Book for basketball, and in the rule book, it actually talked about the concerns of women playing basketball because women were considered to be more selfish than a man and couldn't play basketball like a team the way men could, which is the exact opposite reason of why I love women's basketball, because it is so team-orientated. It's not about me, it's about team. So starting right in the 30s with the barnstorming and them traveling and playing, playing as a team, 7 days a week, they were shattering the stereotypes from the day they hit the court.
I mean, and to be able to do it required the creation of their own opportunity. I mean, basketball and these stories you tell, and I love that you've got these vintage cars, pictures of them in the book, and just the way in which they had to create their own reality in order to make this happen is so fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, they had no opportunities. This is decades before Title IX. I mean, they would take a metal rim from a barrel, and their dad would nail it on side of a barn, and that would be their basketball hoop. If a girl was lucky enough in high school, there was probably no boys' team or no girls' team. She would go and play with the boys. I mean, a lot of these women, they played with their brothers. And they took any opportunity they could to be able to shoot a hoop. Because even back then, if there was a girls' team, the boys' team got the gym time. The girls' team got to practice outside if they were that lucky.
You know, that didn't really change for a long period of time. Do you feel like when you go back and you look and you see some of these stories that we missed out on legends of the game getting the opportunity to play in front of thousands of people?
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, the women that you're seeing here today, I mean, they would have been the WNBA players back then. They were simply some of the best. Some of the video that I have, I mean, is remarkable. I mean, players calling their shots from, 25 feet out and burying a three. And there were no threes back then. But they did whatever they could. And, I mean, playing 200 games a year, yeah, I mean, they were the pioneers. But one reason so many people aren't aware of it is they didn't always play in the big cities with the big newspapers. They were barnstorming the country through little towns. And, if there was any kind of newspaper articles, it was in the local paper. It wasn't in the big papers.
In terms of the games themselves, what were some of your favorite stories that you heard about? Just players encountering prejudice on the court and the way in which they overcame it?
Especially in the early days, as far as that. In the early days, basketball really was, as far as the fan goes, it was male-dominated. So in the early days, I mean, the women would go in, and it was a novelty, let's face it. I mean, the women, they would go in, and they would start to play the men, and I mean, they were playing straight-up basketball. And at first, people really weren't taking it that seriously. But as the women were showing the men, and they would take a lead, I mean, the audience could actually get a little bit hostile. And in some cases, I mean, they would start yelling, the fans, to where police officers would actually have to come in and create a line for the women to leave through.
Amazing.
Well, they're supposed to be, they're supposed to be stenographers. and nurses. I mean, what is a woman doing in the 1930s playing ball, playing a man's game on his court?
It boggles the mind to think about, and I guess I wonder whether you have a different view of what opportunity is for women to play, to coach, to do all of the things within the game of basketball today. There's a lot of focus, and justifiably so, on the miles we have still to go in order to get equality in this game between men and women. But do you see it through a different lens, especially after having written this book?
I feel like I'm the luckiest fan in the world. All right. When the Redheads were inducted into Hall of Fame, I mean, I was sitting down. I mean, Larry Bird's sitting 3 rows in front of me. Jody Conrad's right behind me, okay? And here are the Redheads coming up and saying, oh, my gosh, there's Larry Bird, there's Michael Jordan, let's go see them. They're my idols. And come on, I said, no. I said, you're my idols, and you're my friends. How lucky am I?
Right.
So, yes, do I feel? Yeah, I do feel that I have a much different view and a much different appreciation that I hope this book can help inspire many, because I think this book can inspire today's coaches, today's players. Before the college players hit the court in the fall, they should be handed this book and say, you know what, you need to read this so you can understand where this game comes from and the people that what they did to make it so you can play today.
Now, I have spoken to numerous players of this generation on the baseball side who have talked about the fact that when a league of their own came out, it fundamentally changed what they thought was possible for a woman to do in the game of baseball. My understanding is you have some movie news to share as well, and do you think that this will make a difference on the basketball side in much the same way?
The people that have read the book, and some higher-ups in women's basketball have read it, and they can't believe how inspiring it is, how groundbreaking it is. A week before the Final Four, I actually signed a contract. The book has been optioned for film, for possible film and documentary, and we'll see where it goes. I'm going to be working with this company over the next year, and we hope that something can be developed while all the players are still here, because we're all getting older, and a lot of these players 40s, 50s, and 60s is when they were playing.
These are memories that, if they're not documented, would disappear. And so I just want to say that I am grateful to you for telling these stories and helping to make sure that they see the light of day and reach as wide an audience. So, John Molina, thank you so much.
Well, I would just like to say I thank them, because they're the ones that opened up. Many of these players are very private, but you know what? They opened up. They believed in the book and in the project, and hopefully they will help educate many fans.
Barnstorming America. Pick it up, everybody.